Welcome back to the lab, folks. Here is my mini lab. Now, this is the lab I have up at my office where I am right now. And I use it for quick little things that I'm doing. And this is the instrumentation that I have. Over here is the power supply. We built that power supply together in a series of videos. And here's the DC load that we built just recently. I'll put links into the description down below to all the videos concerning all these items here. This little power supply here, this is a linear power supply. It had a little flaw in that it didn't have enough heat sinking on it, so we added a heat sink to that. This little signal generator is another one that I improved. I replaced the power supply, put some filtration into it, and I attempted to improve the accuracy of the clock in it. And we did a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. This here is a Fluke 8050A. It's a 4.5 digit digital multimeter. I got that as a basket case, and I had to do some repairs to it, fix it up and get it going. And this up here is my Siglent SDS 1104XE oscilloscope. Now, while I don't think I've actually done a video on this, it's appeared in many of my past videos. So it's I've had a lot of history with all these instruments here. But at this point in time, I think it's time for some upgrades. What I want to do is, okay, I want to take this power supply out of here. I want to replace that with the Fernisi DSP 150 that they recently sent me. And that'll give you a little bit more room up here. And this is far more scope than I need. The other scope that I got is far less powerful than this, but it's a pretty nice little 4-channel scope, which you've actually already seen it in a couple of videos, but I'll show you it briefly today too. I need this down in my main lab. I'm constantly pulling it out of here and bringing it down there because this has a capability of either being grounded or floating. And my main function generator down in the lab is grounded all the time. I don't have the option of floating it. So I'd like this down there for certain things. So I'm going to replace this with a new function generator, which you'll see in a minute. And this meter here, although I love it, it really is intended to be on my vintage bench, which I use for working on vintage gear because it's a vintage meter. And I do like to use vintage equipment to work on vintage stuff to fix it. I'm going to replace this with a digital multimeter that you've already seen before. If you follow my videos, I did a 2-part series on it. So I'm going to revamp my little mini lab here with this new equipment. And of course, I got all the equipment I'm going to replace these with at ALIEXPRESS. Also in this pile of new equipment is a power supply that's going to be going in my main lab. I'll mention that in a minute when I show it to you. All right, so let's go downstairs and we'll have a look at all this new gear. Okay, this is the first new instrument here. It says on digital multimeter. Let me get it out of the box here so you can have a look at it. And like I said, I did a 2-part series on this. Took quite a good look at it. I looked at it and its software and everything else. So yeah, I had reviewed this for a friend who bought it and let me review it for him. And I liked it so much that I decided that, yeah, I want to put my Fluke back down on my vintage bench. I'm going to replace it with this. And this has actually a couple of advantages for me. As much as I like the Fluke, one of the issues is it's difficult with the lighting up there. It's difficult to see the screen. It doesn't have a backlight. But this has a really nice display on it. Yeah, just go check it out in those videos. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's fully checked out in those videos. Again, I'll leave a link to them down there. That's item number 1. Item number 2 is this little Handheld oscilloscope. Now, like I say, I don't really need a hell of a powerful oscilloscope up there. And it comes with a couple of probes. I think it comes with 4 probes. Yes, it does. There's a bag of 2 there and a bag of 2 there. Comes with a software and a manual. Again, I don't think I'll be hooking it up to any computers up there, but it's nice to have that option in case I do. It actually powers off of a little USB power supply. They supply one with it. And this is the cord here for powering it. It's got a barrel jack on it. And if you follow my videos closely, you've seen it a couple of times on here. I've actually used it just like this, sitting on the bench here. To do certain things. I will go into this scope in more detail in an upcoming video where I'm going to look at this as one other item in that video. From what I have done with it so far, it's not bad. I mean, it's going to suit my needs up there, I'm pretty sure. And it's got a couple of nice features, not the least of which is it's extremely inexpensive. So it's, yeah, it suits my purposes. All right, let me get this out of the way. This next item here is a B-side power supply And this is actually from my main lab down here. I just need a power supply down here that can give me a little bit more current than what I can get out of my Sigland. Every now and then I just need something with a little bit more oomph, and this is going to be that. So I'll be checking this out in the next video as well. Comes with some cables, a USB cord, a powered cord, a very, very small CD-ROM, and a one-sheet instruction, and it's half Chinese. So that's it, one sheet. I guess it's not a very complex power supply, but like I said, we're going to have a closer look at it in an upcoming video. Here it is, very compact unit. Okay, yeah. So this is the B-side I-8420. So it'll output up to 40 volts and up to 20 amps. Not at the same time, but it can handle 20 amps. So sometimes when I need that extra oomph, this is going to come in really handy. And like I say, it's going to be down here in my main lab somewhere. Okay, look forward to that video where I'm going to be reviewing both this and the oscilloscope. Now, the final piece of equipment, Juntech DDS function signal generator. I did like a lot of the features on this. I like the data input panel, and I like the fact that it has additional inputs on it. Okay, so it comes with a BNC to BNC cord cable, comes with a USB cable, comes with a BNC to alligator clip cable, power cable. Here's the machine itself. And we're going to take a little look at this today. So it's just a quick user guide here. And it is just in English. Okay. Here we have a modulation input, and external can also be used as a frequency counter by putting in a signal in here. It's got 2 channels out. Like I say, it's got the nice little keypad here for inputting your frequencies and voltages and your offsets and stuff like that. So it has that very nice ability. It's got a sync in and sync out. And it has all these little TTL level signals as well. It can be powered off the mains, it can be powered off DC. So it's quite versatile in that respect. I'll probably just be powering it off the mains. Okay, so that's what the display looks like. So one of the things that I do like about this, so if I want to set the frequency, I can just set it in here. And it automatically sets. So rather than having to go in like the other one, it's still got that same interface where you can do it like this. But it gets to be pretty clumsy at times getting the right frequency when you can just, put in what you want, and it comes right up. Okay, we should have the scope on up there, and we've got our signal generator all set up here. We've got a cable coming out of it going up. We're going through a 50 ohm load at the end into the oscilloscope. And so that's giving us, we've got 1 volt peak to peak coming out here. So with the 50 ohm load, we should be seeing about a half a volt peak to peak on the oscilloscope. So let me turn on the channel, and there we go. So we do have a half a volt there. So yeah, if we look at the mean value there, getting 511.8 millivolts. So the voltage output is pretty accurate. Let's bring it down a little bit and see what it changes to. So we put it on amplitude here, and we let's put in 0.1 volts. And put in volts peak to peak, and that should drop down to about 0.5 volts peak to peak, and it does. Okay, perfect. That's working well. Let's see what the maximum we can go up to is. Let's put in 1 volt peak to peak, and that's where this control comes in nice, is it being able to step things up bit by bit like this. And we can go up to 25 volts peak to peak, and it does start to clip a little bit there. So we just start clipping at about 24 volts peak to peak. So in reality, we can get 23 volts peak to peak out of it. And that indeed is coming in at 11.6 volts. So going through this resistor here, which might be getting a little bit warm at that. So let's bring that down. We don't want to kill our pass-through resistor there. So let's bring it down to 1 volt peak to peak for most of the rest of the measurements that we're going to be doing here. And let's see what happens when we bring the frequency up. So we're at 1 kilohertz here. So going to frequency. Now this is supposed to be an 80 megahertz function generator. So let's see what it looks like at 50 megahertz. And that's looking pretty good. And again, we're putting out 1 volt peak to peak. So we should be seeing about half a volt. And we're seeing 560 millivolts. And let's bring that up 10 megahertz at a time. 60, 70, 80 megahertz. So that doesn't look too bad at all. It's pretty decent. Let's see what the square waves look like. Let's have a look at what it does at 10 megahertz. With a square wave here, and let's have a look at that on the scope a little bit better. Yeah, that's fairly decent. That's a little bit better than what the function generator upstairs is doing for me. So that's an improvement there. And let's bring up the frequency on that too and see what it begins to look like when we completely lose any semblance of square waves. I guess around about here, between 20 and 30 megahertz. Okay, so the specifications say it should be able to do square waves up to 30 megahertz, but I don't know, it's up to you whether you want to call that a square wave. I'm not comfortable calling that a square wave, but that looks to me more like a square wave. So let's come back a little bit here and see what are we looking at, 25. Yeah, okay, so let's say 25 to 30 megahertz. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. And let's see what some of the other waveforms look like. Let's bring it down to a reasonable 1 megahertz here, where we can get reasonable quality out of the waveforms, and we can look here at what other waveforms there are. So we got a pulse. I guess the duration, the duty cycle on that pulse is adjustable. So let's go into here to duty, and we'll 10%, and let's try 90%. Yeah, that all works. And let's go back to 50% and look at some other waveforms. We got triangle, ramp. So the ramp here is just a triangle, but we get to set the duty cycle. So let's see what that looks like here. So let's go with 100. Okay, and 0. So we can get a forward sawtooth, reverse sawtooth, or anything in between if you want. Very nice. All right, now let's go back to 50% and continue looking at the waveforms. So we've got CMOS levels. Okay, next one we'll go to DC. So you can actually just set a DC voltage here if you want. Give sign, half wave, full wave, ladder, negative ladder. That's a positive trapezoid, negative trapezoid, noise, exponential rise, exponential fall, log rise, log fall, sync, multitone, Lorenz, and arbitrary. So you can download any arbitrary waveforms you want into it. Very nice. That's a good selection of built-in ones. Let's double the amplitude there and see what happens. So it'll be 2 volts peak to peak. And we can bring down the scope. See that we're indeed getting 1 volt over there because the 50 ohm load on it. And we look here at the offset. So if I want to put 1 volt offset on it. Okay, so let me put a signal into it and see if we can actually get it to be a frequency counter. Okay, let's set it up here to measure some frequency. Now it says in the manual that you need at least 2 volts peak to peak. Up to 20 volts peak to peak to measure the frequency here. So let's go into measure, and we've actually got 1.5 volts peak to peak going into it. So let's see where we lose it. 1.4 volts peak to peak, it's still picking it up. I've got 1 kilohertz going into it. 1.3 volts peak to peak, 1.2 volts peak to peak, and it drops out there. Work right down to 1.3 volts peak to peak. So let's give it a reasonable voltage here. I'll go give it 5 volts peak to peak. And we're going to try some different frequencies here, but let's get up here and see what we can do about the gate. We can get over here, we can reduce the gate down. The longer you leave the gate, the more accurate the count's going to be. But if you wanted to update quickly, you can put it down to 0.1 seconds. or you can put it up to there, and like you put up to 5 seconds, get a really accurate count. We'll put in 1 megahertz. Now the generator that's generating this is tied to a GPSDO, so it's smack on, and it looks like so is this, 0.2 parts per million. Let's try 10 megahertz. Right on. Highest I can go with this function generator here is 60 megahertz, so let's put that into it. No issue there. Very nice. All right, folks, that kind of ends our quick look at this little function generator here. This is very, very sophisticated in what it can do and the many different functions that it has. And it would take me several videos just to investigate all of them. So I just wanted to give you a quick view of it. I'm mostly going to use it to generate signals, and from the odd time as a frequency counter. Showed you those two functions and they both work beautifully, as well as the user interface on this is really nice. I like it. So I'll give this one a real good thumbs up. The bail is removable. I'll be taking that off when I install it, and I'm going to go up there and install it right now. We'll see you in the next video.